Have you ever felt completely drained after trying to help someone, only to realize they don't care or even bother to make an effort to change? It's like you're trying to push a huge rock up a steep hill, and every time you get close to the top, it rolls back down, crushing all your effort. That feeling is probably familiar to many of us. I've been in that situation, and I understand the disappointment, frustration, and exhaustion it brings. Sometimes we pour our heart, time, and energy into supporting others, only to receive indifference and apathy in return. We feel like we're being taken advantage of, like our kindness is being shamelessly used for free. Stoic philosophy reminds us that helping others is a noble act, but not everyone is worthy of our patience and precious energy. Sometimes, taking a step back is the best way to protect ourselves and maintain compassion wisely. I know, sometimes it's hard to say no when someone needs help. We're taught to be kind, to help others, and that's true. But we also need to protect ourselves, not to be drained of energy by people who don't appreciate what we do for them. This is a delicate balance that we have to learn to master. Today, we're going to explore 10 types of people you should think carefully about before helping. These are people who can pull you down instead of rising up with you. In particular, the 10th type will completely change how you see generosity. I believe this information will be very useful to you in life. Before we begin, let's delve into a story. A devoted father watched his son become increasingly reckless, declining in work and life. Whenever his son had difficulties, he was always the first to appear, providing financial support and intervening so that his son wouldn't be fired. But day after day, things didn't change. His son continued to be dependent, lacking the motivation to stand on his own 2 feet. One day, the father realized that his constant support had created dependence rather than resilience in his son. Instead of helping his son grow up, he was only reinforcing his son's dependence. This story made me think a lot about how we help others. Sometimes our help can backfire, and we need to be more thoughtful about choosing whom we support. So, who are the people we should carefully consider before helping? Let's explore each type of person and learn how to express kindness thoughtfully and wisely. I hope that, after watching this video, you will gain a deeper insight into compassion and how to protect yourself in relationships. Let's start now. 1. Those who can't change. Have you ever tried to help someone who always seems stubborn, unwilling to change no matter what you do? It's a terribly exhausting feeling, which can even deplete your spirit. You see the potential for change in them, but they don't even realize it, or even outright reject it. Modern Stoic philosophy reminds us that while compassion and the desire to help are noble qualities, sometimes the wisest action is to take a step back, keeping our energy for things that truly matter. It doesn't mean we're selfish, but that we're protecting ourselves. I remember once reconnecting with an old college friend. He constantly complained about his life. When I met him again, I thought I could help by encouraging him and offering some advice to help him find his way. He had once been a talented, passionate, and capable person, but throughout the conversation, he only focused on his failures, the injustices life had brought him. I patiently listened and tried to offer encouragement, but he rejected every suggestion with complaints, reasons why change was impossible for him. The feeling at that moment was like trying to row a boat, but the other person refused to hold the oars. I realized that no matter how much I wanted to help, all my efforts were meaningless if he didn't want to change. Such people are not really looking for growth, but just want to unload their burden onto others and hope someone will bear their problems. In today's world, we often encounter such people, those who consider the help of others as a given and quickly refuse it when it requires their own effort. Stoic philosophy teaches us that not every battle is ours, and that helping is not always the best approach. Epicurus once said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. We can extend a helping hand, but if the person doesn't want to take it, then the responsibility no longer lies with us. Modern Stoicism advises us that compassion is essential, but it must come with limits. Those who resist change are essentially clinging to deep-seated fears of failure and the unknown. They have become accustomed to avoiding the difficulties of life. This resistance is a form of self-deception, hiding a deep fear of stepping out of their comfort zone. When faced with such people, the kindest thing you can do is step back, to let them find their own way or take responsibility. This is not abandonment, but respect for their freedom of choice. Because, as the Stoics remind us, wisdom lies in recognizing when to step back, to let others learn their own lessons. I think that this is one of the most difficult things we have to face in life. It's hard to watch someone we care about remain stuck in their problems. But sometimes our attempts to help can be a barrier that prevents them from growing on their own. I have tried my best to help a friend, but then I realized that my help not only didn't work, but also made them more dependent. It was a painful but necessary lesson. I learned that sometimes the best help you can give someone is to give them space to solve their own problems. You cannot live someone else's life, and they shouldn't live yours either. Everyone has their own path, and we need to respect that. 2. Manipulators. Have you ever felt like you're being surrounded by emotional vampires? Not the kind in movies, but real-life people who seem to drain all your energy. These are manipulators, people who see your kindness as a free buffet. If you've ever felt exhausted after helping someone, then it may be time to ask yourself if you are really helping the right person. Imagine your relationships as a garden. Healthy relationships are like plants that are well cared for, growing every day. But with manipulators, it's like you're watering a cactus. It demands more than it needs, making you feel dry and tired. Manipulators are masters of making you feel guilty, making you feel responsible for meeting their needs, even if it means sacrificing your own happiness. Stoic philosophy reminds us that while helping others is noble, your peace of mind is invaluable. There is nothing more tiring than realizing that every act of kindness you give is just another brick in the wall of someone's selfishness. Eventually, you can become their therapist, their energy source, or even their accomplice. But let's be clear, they're not looking for help. They're just looking for excuses to make you feel responsible for their problems. A clear sign is if they're always in crisis mode, and you're always the problem solver. We've all had a friend or family member who seems to be stuck in an endless soap opera, and gradually their problems become your burdens. I remember a colleague in her 50s who constantly complained about her health, family problems, and financial difficulties. As soon as one crisis passed, another arrived. Out of compassion, I listened and even offered solutions, but nothing changed. She clung to her problems like a life raft, refusing to think about change and even dismissing any suggestions for improvement. Gradually, I realized that my support was not helping. It was only reinforcing her self-pity and dependence. Modern Stoicism, especially in a world full of distractions, teaches us about balance, about when to help and when to keep a distance. Sometimes a firm no is kinder than a reluctant yes that drains you. You are not obligated to solve everyone's problems or to be their emotional crutch. As Epicurus wisely said, he who laughs at himself never runs out of things to laugh at. Recognizing manipulation helps you separate from those who drain your spirit. Setting boundaries is essential, as Stoic philosophy teaches. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts." Keep this in mind when deciding how much time and energy to give to others. Manipulators thrive by pushing your boundaries, making you feel like their needs are endless. By recognizing this behavior and setting clear limits, you will regain control of your peace of mind. Most importantly, value your own energy. You are not here to be everyone's savior, but to live your life to the fullest. Helping someone is a good thing, but sometimes it's just perpetuating a cycle of abuse. Before you reach out to help, ask yourself, am I really helping or just letting myself be manipulated? Remember, you are the one writing the story of your life. Don't let a manipulator take the pen and write yours. Life should be filled with genuine relationships that uplift you, not those that drain you. Avoiding the trap of manipulation requires solid boundaries. As the Stoics taught, Marcus Aurelius reminded us that protecting our own peace is essential for maintaining positive thoughts. The next time you face a manipulator, stop and ask yourself, am I watering a plant that will grow, or just feeding a cactus that always demands more? The decision is yours, and with the guidance of Stoic principles, it's a decision you can make with confidence and clarity. I believe that we all fall into the cycle of manipulation at some point without realizing it. Manipulators are often very good at disguising their intentions and making us feel guilty for not meeting their needs. This is a very dangerous trap, as it can gradually cause us to lose our confidence and energy. I have been a victim of such a relationship, and I clearly understand the discomfort and fatigue it brings. I realized that sometimes my kindness was being taken advantage of, and that I needed to learn how to protect myself. I learned that setting boundaries is not a selfish act, but a necessary act to maintain healthy relationships. 3. Those who always play the victim. One of the most tiresome types of people we encounter in life are those who always play the victim. These are people who constantly blame everything and everyone around them, never taking responsibility for themselves. These people are always embroiled in a story of injustice and misfortune, as if they are looking for a loyal audience to retell their tales of woe. Perhaps you've experienced sitting for hours listening to someone like this complain about their life. My boss doesn't appreciate me. My colleagues don't support me. The whole universe seems to be against me. The more you listen, the more you feel like you're stuck in an endless soap opera with a repetitive script. I once had a friend, a longtime colleague, who always lived in a state of eternal victimhood. He constantly complained about everything, from his career to his family, always finding a reason to excuse every failure. At one point, he was assigned an important project, but instead of focusing and trying his best, he spent most of his time complaining that his boss was unfair and his colleagues were not cooperative. In the end, the project failed, and as usual, he blamed everyone but himself. Such people are not looking for solutions, but just want to find someone to share the burden of responsibility. Stoic philosophy teaches us that true power comes not from finding fault or blaming, but from realizing that we have control over how we react to every situation. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts." However, those who always play the victim do not understand this. They only want to criticize circumstances and others, repeating the same vicious cycle of frustration and helplessness. When you try to help them, it's like you're giving them a map, but they insist that every obstacle is someone else's fault, and every difficulty is due to fate's trickery. So, what we often need to do with such people is step back, not to abandon them, but to let them face themselves and realize that the key to change is in their own hands, not someone else's. You may feel compelled to help, offer advice, or even jump in and solve their problems. But remember, not everyone is ready to change. Some people feel safe in the role of victim, seeking sympathy rather than action. The wisest thing you can do is protect your own energy and peace. Do not allow yourself to be drawn into their cycle of self-pity, because you cannot change their view if they do not want to. Epicurus once said, "We suffer not from the events in our lives, but from how we evaluate them." Victims choose to see life through the lens of blame and helplessness, but that is their choice, not yours. You have no obligation to bear the problems they create for themselves, nor are you responsible for fixing their lives. Sometimes, the greatest kindness you can show them is to step back and let them face the reality they've been avoiding. This doesn't mean you stop caring, but that you give them the space to realize that the power to change lies within themselves. In today's world, this dynamic is very common. Whether it's friends, family members, or colleagues, there are always those who cling to victim narrative, blaming everything but themselves. While it may seem easy to jump in as a helper, it's essential to realize that some people are not ready to change. They are stuck in their story, and no amount of advice or support will make a difference unless they choose to take responsibility for their lives. This is where Stoic philosophy provides invaluable insights. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts." Those who always play the victim allow their thoughts to slip into negativity, and until they change their mindset, they will remain trapped in their roles. As a practitioner of Stoic principles, you understand the value of focusing on what you can control. You cannot change the views of a victim, but you can control how you react to their behavior. By setting boundaries and maintaining emotional distance, you protect your peace of mind, while also giving them the opportunity to take responsibility for their actions. This does not mean that you are abandoning them, but that you are respecting your own happiness and giving them space to grow. Ultimately, Stoicism teaches us that true wisdom comes from within, and sometimes the best way to help someone is to step back and let them find their own way. Finally, remember that your role is not to be everyone's savior. Victims don't need you to fix their lives. They need to realize that they have the power to do it themselves. It is not your job to shoulder the burden of their problems. As Epicurus wisely said, we suffer not from the events in our lives, but from how we evaluate them. Those who always play the victim choose to see life through the lens of blame and helplessness, but that is their choice, not yours. The best gift you can give a victim is the truth that life doesn't just happen to us, but that we shape it. When they finally understand this, they can step out of their self-imposed role and become the true leaders of their lives. I think that perhaps everyone has fallen into the trap of being a victim at some point. When life gets difficult, it's easy to blame others or the circumstances, but it's a dangerous path because it makes us lose control of our lives. I have been through such a stage, and I know that, to overcome it, we need to realize that we are responsible for our own lives and not anyone else. I learned that blaming others doesn't help. It just makes us feel worse. Instead, we should focus on what we can control and find a way to overcome difficulties. This is the spirit of Stoic philosophy, and I believe that it can help us live a happier and more meaningful life. Number 4, narcissists. Have you ever felt like you are stuck on a never-ending carousel when faced with someone who constantly seeks attention but doesn't really care about anyone else? Narcissists are like the stars in their own life's play, always seeking the spotlight and admiration, without caring about the feelings of others. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once said, "I am constantly amazed by how much we all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about the opinions of others than our own." This quote captures the essence of narcissists. They constantly pursue recognition, but lack genuine empathy. They are stuck in a vicious cycle of craving admiration without really valuing anyone else. Imagine you have a friend, maybe a colleague, who always appears at every meeting or family gathering as if they are in the center of a stage. Then one day, they come to you with a personal problem, appearing very distressed and desperate. You take the time to listen, offer sincere advice, hoping to help them find a solution. But after all that, it seems that they don't care about any of your suggestions. Instead, they go back to their own story, only focusing on getting sympathy and praise, without any intention of change. Each interaction with them is like trying to fill a bucket with holes. No matter how much you pour in, it's never enough. The hard truth is that narcissists are not looking for solutions or personal growth. They just want attention, and they will do anything to achieve it. Your attempts to help only become fuel for their endless need for recognition, leaving you exhausted from trying so hard without any results. Modern Stoicism teaches us that, while we cannot control the actions of others, we can control how we respond. The important thing is to set boundaries, to protect our precious energy from people who only see us as a reflection of their own ego. Helping others is noble, but it should not come at the cost of your own peace and happiness. Save your energy for people who truly need and appreciate your support. Like a wise gardener, you wouldn't waste time watering weeds, but nurture the flowers, those who value and bring meaning to your life. Narcissists are like weeds, never growing into anything worthwhile. But those who value you are flowers that make life beautiful. One of the most important things when dealing with narcissists is not to get caught in their web. To avoid their vanity and selfishness dominating your life, keep your mind like a mirror, not stained by their arrogance. Reflect your own peace and purpose. Narcissists will always seek attention, but you can choose not to be an audience for their play. Instead, direct your valuable time and energy to relationships that bring value and tranquility. For in this short life, time is the most precious resource, and it is worthy to be given to those who are truly worthy. Ultimately, life is a series of choices. You can choose to spend your time and energy on people who are grateful and grow with you, rather than letting it be consumed by those who only seek recognition. Remember, you have the right to decide who is worthy of your attention. And anyone who truly respects you will never make you feel like you have to try too hard to get attention. 5. People who don't value your time. Time is one of the most precious resources we possess, yet there are those who squander it without a second thought. Like a child carelessly spilling juice on a carpet, time wasters do not respect your schedule, needs, or personal boundaries. Picture your time as a limited, irreplaceable lottery ticket. Now imagine time wasters constantly showing up, just when you're about to enjoy a peaceful afternoon, as if your day is a buffet they can freely take from without asking. They act as if they're deliberately ignoring your boundaries or needs for personal space. We've all been in such a situation. You may have an important meeting, a deadline approaching, or simply the desire to relax, but these people seem to believe that their needs are more urgent than anything you've planned. It's as if they see you as a 24/7 clock, always ready to respond to their requests without thinking about your need to rest. Facing a time waster is like trying to assemble a 1,000-piece puzzle in the dark. It is truly frustrating and almost impossible. However, there is still hope, and modern Stoicism brings practical solutions to these situations. The first step is to protect your time by setting clear boundaries. Imagine your time as a garden, where time wasters are weeds trying to choke your flowers. If you do not set boundaries, they will continue to invade your space. Let people know when you are free and when you are busy, and do not be afraid to say no politely but firmly. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic thinkers, once said, "Don't waste any more time arguing about what a good man should be like. Be one." In this case, being a good person means being wise enough to protect your time. Communicate your schedule and stick to it, because your life is not to meet everyone's expectations, but to accomplish your own priorities. Prioritizing your important tasks is essential. When a time waster appears, remember that the most powerful conversation is sometimes the one you don't participate in. You do not owe anyone your time, nor do you need to justify why you choose to spend it on things that are important to you. When you prioritize your goals and protect your schedule, you regain control of your life. This doesn't mean you isolate yourself from everyone, but that you don't allow your time to be taken by people who don't respect it. Think about how modern Stoicism can guide you in these moments. A Stoic would not waste time trying to explain or justify their decisions to those who do not value their time. Seneca, another great Stoic, observed, "It's not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste so much of it. Don't let others steal your most valuable resource. Learn to recognize those who do not respect it, and be courageous enough to set boundaries." 6. The deaf person. Have you ever met a person who seems to listen, nodding at every piece of advice you give, but completely ignoring it in their actions? This person is like someone with selective deafness, giving the impression that they are absorbing your wisdom like a sponge, but when the time comes to act, they remain stagnant, stuck in their own habits. Talking to them can be like talking to a wall. No matter how profound your words are, they bounce right back without any impact. Helping such a person becomes a frustrating cycle, draining your energy without producing any results. It's like trying to inflate a punctured balloon. They absorb your advice, but they don't apply it, making all your efforts seem wasted. You may wonder why you even try, why you waste energy on someone who has no intention of moving forward. Stoic principles teach us about the importance of conserving energy and focusing on what we can control, our actions, thoughts, and reactions. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Don't waste any more time arguing about what a good man should be like. Be one." You can give all the advice in the world, but the final action is still the responsibility of each individual. If they are unwilling to change, why repeat it? It will become a situation where you are pouring all your effort into someone who is not ready to grow. Stoic philosophy reminds us that our efforts should be invested in things that can make a difference. The deaf person clings to habits of inaction, holds on to excuses, and maintains a passive role in life, ignoring any guidance that could propel them forward. Imagine you are talking to a friend who constantly complains about their stagnant career, but refuses every suggestion on how to improve. They nod, they agree, but the next time you see them, they are still in the same place, repeating the same old complaints. It's like planting seeds on barren land, expecting a lush garden. Modern Stoicism teaches that we should not waste our efforts on those who do not receive growth or self-improvement. Setting boundaries is a way to deal with the deaf person. Think of it like filling a broken pitcher. No matter how much you pour in, it will never be full. Instead of depleting your patience and energy, focus on those who are willing to listen, grow, and act on your advice. Wouldn't it be more meaningful to help someone who truly values your input and makes progress? Epicurus once said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Instead of being frustrated by those who reject your advice, choose to focus on areas where your guidance will be valued. Think of yourself as a gardener. When you plant a seed in fertile soil, it has the potential to grow and bear fruit. But if you plant it in barren soil, no matter how much water or care you give it, you will not receive anything. Sometimes, the best thing you can do for the deaf person is to let them face the consequences of their inaction. Life has a way of teaching lessons that words cannot, and stepping back allows them to learn what they need themselves. Your role is not a parrot, repeating the same advice hoping they will hear it this time. Your energy is valuable and should be saved for those who truly seek progress. The teachings of Stoicism remind us that true personal growth comes not from simply hearing advice, but from disciplined action. Seneca taught that our lives are not short, but that we waste too much of it on objectives that do not offer much value. Modern life exposes us to people who nod, seemingly absorbing what we say, but never making the effort to apply it. It could be a colleague who always asks for advice but makes the same mistakes, or a friend who seeks guidance but does not change their behavior. Stoicism, with its emphasis on action and self-discipline, teaches us that our energy is finite, and we must use it wisely. A true Stoic understands that their efforts should be directed at those who are willing and eager to grow. By recognizing who the deaf people are, you free yourself from the tiring cycle of giving advice that is not received, and you regain energy for those who truly seek growth. 7. The drama lover. Have you ever met a person who seems to have stepped out of a Shakespearean tragedy, where every minor inconvenience becomes a disaster, and every bad day feels like the end of the world? It's as if their life is a stage, and they're performing with you as the audience, drawn into their endless dramas. Sometimes you feel compelled to help them, thinking they really need guidance to get through the chaos they create. But the truth is, such people are not really looking for help. They want an audience, and you are the one sitting in the front row, quietly witnessing all the suffering in their endless play. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic philosopher, once said, "You have power over your mind, not external events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When facing drama-loving people, this wisdom is invaluable. They live in a world of chaos that they created themselves, and no matter how hard you try to help, they will always return to their dramas. It's like sitting in a movie theater, expecting a normal movie, but finding yourself pulled into a tearful story, with them as the star and you as an involuntary audience member. You might see them constantly exaggerating everything, making every situation unnecessarily serious, and if you're not careful, you'll get sucked into their emotional storms. Imagine a friend who constantly complains about every little thing. Each call is an emergency broadcast of their life, from minor failures at work to silly personal issues. You try to offer advice, but in return, you only hear more despair, as if your advice could never save their world. And after every conversation, you feel exhausted, realizing that all your efforts were futile. That is the nature of drama lovers. Sometimes the best thing you can do is set boundaries and refuse to participate in their eternal theater of suffering. It does not mean that you are indifferent, but that you are choosing to protect your own peace, because your life is not a stage for their endless tragedies. Stoic philosophy teaches us that compassion does not mean sacrificing our own peace. You can care from afar, maintaining enough space to avoid getting caught up in their chaos. Imagine a shield of protection around you, allowing you to witness their pain, but preventing you from being overwhelmed by it. Like a superhero, you can show kindness without letting their negativity become your burden. This is one of the core principles of modern Stoicism, practicing compassion without sacrificing your inner peace. It's about acting as a supporting character, not a cast member. Sometimes, what a drama lover needs is not a savior, but a mirror. Instead of offering solutions they will probably ignore, try asking questions that encourage them to reflect. A simple question like, "Do you think things are really as bad as they seem?" can have an unexpected effect. This doesn't mean that you are taking on the mission to save them, but just a gentle nudge towards self-awareness. The secrets of Stoicism remind us that true growth comes from within, and sometimes all someone needs is space to see their situation more clearly. Don't expect immediate results. A drama lover is always deeply invested in their role, and while a moment of reflection can be helpful, they are unlikely to give up their lifestyle overnight. Another often overlooked strategy is humor. Stoics understand the absurdity of life and encourage humor as a way to cope with its challenges. Seneca once said that sometimes even to live is an act of courage. When faced with someone's dramatic outbursts, a light-hearted comment like, "Sounds like the end of the world this time," can bring some relief. Humor will not solve their deep-seated problems, but it can break the cycle of their tragedy and lighten the atmosphere. Life is too short to be consumed by other people's endless dramas. Drama lovers will continue to seek attention from anyone who is willing to listen. But as a Stoic, you have a choice. Do not let your energy and time be wasted on endless performances. As Marcus Aurelius said, the happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. Choose to surround yourself with people who bring you joy, support, and encourage your growth. Those who face the challenges of life with resilience and find joy even in the small moments. Your life is rich with its own challenges and beauty. Do not let your existence become the stage for someone else's tragedy. 8. The ungrateful person. Have you ever helped someone only to receive a cold, indifferent thank you in return? That's the essence of ingratitude. People who live as if everyone's kindness and effort are just what they deserve, as if they are holding an unlimited coupon that they can redeem anywhere without ever giving back. These people are like emotional black holes, taking everything you give without filling the void within them, leaving you exhausted and wondering why you bothered helping in the first place. In Stoic philosophy, gratitude is a core virtue, helping us find balance and appreciate the good things in life. Marcus Aurelius once said, "When you wake up in the morning, think what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." So why do we waste our energy on people who seem to have forgotten the importance of this essential lesson? Gratitude is not just about saying thank you, but about recognizing and appreciating the efforts of others. Ungrateful people completely miss this point, always wanting more while appreciating less. Imagine it like this. You are on a boat and see someone struggling in the water. You jump in, risking your own safety to pull them onto the boat. A grateful person would look at you with deep gratitude, saying, "Thank you so much. I don't know what I would have done without you." But the ungrateful person would look at you and complain that you were too slow, that they almost drowned. They don't care that you saved their life. They just focus on that you didn't do enough or didn't act quickly enough. The truth is, not everyone who has problems really wants to be helped. Some people just want to criticize how poorly everyone is rescuing them. Ungrateful people are like trees that never bloom, no matter how much you nurture them. They take all your effort without giving anything back. While it is important to understand that not everyone has been raised with the same sense of gratitude, that doesn't mean you should sacrifice your mental health on the altar of their indifference. The principles of Stoicism remind us that while we cannot control others, we can control how we react to them. The first step is to set clear boundaries. If you notice that someone is constantly taking advantage of your kindness without any recognition or appreciation, do not hesitate to draw some lines. Think of telling a tree that it cannot grow in the shade forever, that it needs light, and that you are not an infinite source of light. Setting boundaries doesn't mean you are no longer generous, but that you are protecting your energy from being wasted on people who don't appreciate it. Modern Stoicism emphasizes that this is essential to maintain your emotional balance. It's like saving the best ingredients for a special meal, instead of wasting them on a frozen pizza that's heated up in a microwave oven for convenience. Stoic principles teach us to be mindful of where we invest our time and effort, because like our energy, these resources are finite. Helping ungrateful people will drain you, while helping those who appreciate it will uplift you and reinforce the cycle of kindness. A common but vital step is cultivating gratitude in yourself. When you focus too much on helping others, especially those who don't appreciate it, you may forget to cultivate your own gratitude. Take time to appreciate what you have, those who value you, and even the small, peaceful moments you create in your life. The Stoics remind us that he who is not content with what he has will not be content with what he wants. But by focusing on your own gratitude, you will ensure that your emotional reserves remain full, even when dealing with people who are draining you. It's also important to accept that some people will never change. No matter how much you give, some people will never learn the value of gratitude. Accepting this truth can free you from the emotional burden of waiting for thanks that may never come. See the ungrateful person as a broken clock. No matter how many times you try to fix it, it will never be in sync. And that's okay. You are not responsible for their growth, but only for the time and energy you choose to invest in them. Acceptance is a fundamental element of Stoic wisdom, allowing you to move past situations and people that do not contribute to your happiness. So, the next time you encounter an ungrateful person, remember that you don't need to be the hero of their story. Life is too short to waste on people who don't appreciate your efforts. Modern Stoicism encourages us to seek relationships and connections that are beneficial to both sides, where gratitude is natural and consistent. You deserve to spend time with people who appreciate your contributions, not those who take it as a given without ever saying a word of thanks. Ultimately, what truly matters is your emotional balance. Surround yourself with people who understand the value of what you bring, and be selective with your generosity. As the Stoics advise, it is better to invest your time and energy in people who lift you up, not those who pull you down. After all, as the saying goes, gratitude is not only the greatest virtue, but the parent of all other virtues. In today's world, where our time and energy are constantly in demand, it's more important than ever to ensure that we use them wisely. Ungrateful people will always be there, ready to take whatever they can without giving back anything, but you have the right to choose where to direct your efforts. By following Stoic principles, you will find yourself surrounded by people who value you, and in return you will build stronger and more fulfilling relationships. Number 9. The dependent person. Dependent personalities often seem harmless at first, but in reality, they are like a backpack full of problems weighing down the people around them. Not only do they expect you to lighten their burden, but they also rely on you to make all the important decisions in their lives. Imagine you're at a lively party, people are laughing and music is playing. Then suddenly, a dependent friend pulls you into a corner, and a cheerful conversation suddenly turns into an in-depth dissection of their endless list of problems. From caring for their dog, to deciding what to eat for dinner, to every little aspect of their day, they not only seek sympathy, but also want to find someone willing to take over their life. Stoic philosophy teaches us that while we cannot control everything that happens, we can control how we react. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you have power over your mind, not external events. This is a powerful reminder to stand firm when dealing with dependent personalities. Setting clear boundaries with them is essential. Imagine you are on a boat. If someone starts drilling holes in the bottom of the boat, you won't sit and wait to sink with them. You will stop them to protect yourself. Dependent people often make you feel like you are the only safe haven they can trust. But instead of becoming their permanent life raft, encourage them to start rowing. A simple question like, "What would you do if no one was here to help you?" can be the push they need to start considering their own solutions. Practicing emotional detachment is also important. Dependent people often pull others into their emotional vortex, but you are not responsible for shouldering the burden of their difficulties. Create a safe distance that allows you to preserve your peace of mind. This is not a lack of compassion, but a healthy boundary. You can offer them reason and perspective, helping them see the problem from a different angle, without getting caught up in their endless worries. Don't be afraid to say no, especially when their problems start to encroach on your own happiness. Your energy is finite, and you are not obligated to spend it on people who only expect solutions without making any effort to overcome difficulties. Stoicism emphasizes the importance of self-reliance and personal responsibility. By encouraging them to make decisions and take responsibility, you will help build a healthier and more balanced relationship. Not every burden is yours to carry. The more you let them take responsibility, the sooner they will learn to stand on their own 2 feet. Life is a journey of balance, and sometimes the best way to help is to step back, to let others find their own way. 10. The denier. Meeting a denier can be like facing an invisible wall. They cling to their self-made world, rejecting any truth that life tries to show them. No matter how clear the truth is, they continue to live in their illusions, like a child clutching their security blanket. Denial can be exhausting, because every attempt to help seems to vanish into thin air. All the reason and patience you offer won't change their point of view. It's like trying to teach a fish to fly. Imagine you have a compass that points north correctly, but this person insists that south is the real north. You patiently explain and guide, but as soon as you point them to the real north, they look at you as if you are speaking an alien language. Helping such a person can be like trying to move a brick wall with your bare hands. Every effort leaves you exhausted and questioning the purpose of trying. It is in moments like these that a core truth of Stoic philosophy is revealed. Not everything is within your control. As Marcus Aurelius once said, you have power over your mind, not external events. When it comes to dealing with deniers, knowing when to let go becomes essential. Imagine a friend who always interprets life through their own unique filter. You have taken the time to listen and advise, only to realize that no matter what you say, they still cling to their alternate reality. It's easy to feel frustrated, even annoyed when your well-meaning advice becomes useless. But instead of constantly trying to change their point of view, the best thing you can do is set boundaries for yourself. When you accept that some people simply will not change their minds, you free yourself from the burden of trying to save people who don't want to be helped. Instead of depleting yourself with reason or argument, a little humor can be a way to approach them. A light-hearted comment about the holy South they believe in can encourage them towards a different perspective. However, keep in mind that even humor isn't a guarantee. Stoicism reminds us that our power lies in controlling our reactions, and sometimes the best reaction is to step back. In life, our time and energy are finite. Do not let them be drained by people who reject growth or refuse to see reality. You have the right to live your life, spending your energy on people who value it. As Epicurus said, it is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. So there we have it. We have explored 10 types of people you should think carefully about before deciding to help. These are people who can drain your energy, leaving you tired, frustrated, and even feeling taken advantage of. I believe that after watching this video, you have gained a deeper insight into how we should treat others and how to protect ourselves in relationships. The most important thing I want you to remember is that helping others is a good thing, but not everyone deserves your help. We need to be wise, to choose the people we support, and not allow our kindness to be taken advantage of. I have learned that sometimes the best help you can give someone is to give them the space to solve their own problems. You cannot live someone else's life, and they shouldn't live yours either. Everyone has their own path, and we need to respect that. I also realize that setting boundaries is extremely important. We need to know when to say yes and when to say no. Sometimes a firm no is kinder than a reluctant yes. We need to protect our energy and our own peace and not let others drain them. And finally, remember that you are not responsible for solving everyone's problems or for being their emotional crutch. Focus on what you can control and try to live a happy and meaningful life. I hope this video will be helpful to you. If you have any questions or comments, please leave a comment below. Don't forget to press the like button Share this video with your friends and subscribe to my channel to receive more useful videos. Thank you for your time and see you in the next videos.